So it's going to be a hot day, a scorcher. They're looking at the hottest day of the year so far. You can feel it out there already. So if you're out and about, take care, make sure to wear your sun cream and stay fully hydrated. It's going to be getting hot as well in the Oireachtas. We're going to be talking to David Cullinane in a minute about the potential scandal. I think we'll nearly go so far as to say that, as what might come out during these discussions on nursing homes. We're going to be talking to hoteliers, we're going to be talking to cyclists, we're going to be talking to many different people and many different aspects as people look at getting out of the lockdown. I'll go straight to David Cullinane. David, good morning.
Good morning, Damien. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Hundreds of residents were discharged from hospitals to nursing homes without being tested for coronavirus, according to the head of Nursing Homes Ireland. This is CEO TD David. A lot of people would have been following this with great interest yesterday, and the ins and outs of this, the intricacies of this, because whatever about committees in the Dáil and the Oireachtas, David, and you're involved in this, they don't have life and death matters to examine. And this is why this is so important, is it?
Of course it's important, and I suppose it's easy sometimes with the benefit of hindsight to look back at mistakes that were made. And, you know, I'm conscious that we had very senior officials like the Chief Medical Officer, senior officials in the department and elsewhere that were dealing with a whole range of issues that they had to respond to. So I think we have to have that in the front of our minds when we look at all of these issues. But Nursing Homes Ireland were before the committee yesterday. They had been saying very publicly for some time that they were very concerned about what was happening or not happening in nursing homes. Their overarching concern, I suppose, and I share that concern, was that there was no specific sectoral plan for nursing homes. So in the very early stages of this crisis, you recall that there was a plan for every single acute hospital in the state, and we had a very, very thorough and a very productive plan that worked for University Hospital Waterford. So every hospital obviously had its plan, and that plan at its heart was to protect the frontline staff, to make sure that the hospital had capacity, to make sure that it had staff, that it had PPE, but crucially to keep people safe and to keep patients in the hospital safe. It seems on the face of it that that didn't happen in nursing homes, that there was no overarching plan. And I suppose what we learned over the course of the last couple of weeks, there was a couple of hearings in nursing homes, was that there was hundreds of emails that were exchanged between Nursing Home Ireland and the Department of Health, the HSE, the Chief Medical Officer, where Nursing Homes Ireland were pointing out all of these failures from late February right through the month of March, looking for meetings with the Minister, looking for a plan, looking for human and financial resources, but pointing out what they saw were the real problems. So if I can just read some of what was in the opening statement, it was from the head of the Nursing Homes Ireland. There was insufficient testing of residents. Mm-hmm. The issue that you raised, that there was a discharge of patients from hospital, which had to be done into nursing homes, but that they weren't tested as they were discharged. There was a mass shortfall of PPE. Some nursing homes were actually using painters' overalls as and other temporary makeshift PPE equipment that was insufficient. There was a shortage of other equipment. There was an aggressive recruitment of nursing home staff by the HSE into hospitals, and there was a pushback from nursing homes that was going to have an impact on their ability to provide safe services to older people. And I suppose the point that they were making, and it's an obvious point to make now, that nursing homes was going to be an obvious challenge, because we know, and we knew very early on, that older people were most susceptible to the virus. So it does seem that the ball was dropped in relation to nursing homes.
You preface your remarks by talking about a crisis, and everybody understands that, and you're right with that, and that comes into context. The questions that have to be asked from my perspective and from so many different people's perspective, was the ball dropped, as you say, or was there a conscious effort, or was there, I wonder, will we find out? Did they say at some stage, listen, we'll deal with nursing homes in a few weeks' time, or afterwards? We need to get our hospitals sorted first. And there was a priority on the hospitals, and you've said that, and I agree with you on that. But if there's a question of basically ignoring the nursing homes, for example, TD David, he singled out the National Treatment Purchase Fund, the NTPF, the authority responsible for commissioning the nursing home care, saying they fell silent as homes incurred considerable costs to manage the pandemic, and then also raised issues about, as you say, the importance of the nursing homes within the crisis situation. So I wonder, was it a case that basically they said, well, listen, we'll let the nursing homes look after themselves, and if they don't manage, they don't manage?
I don't want to make that judgment at this point in time, Damien, because the consequences of that would be that if that was the case, and I'm not saying it was the case, then that would mean that hundreds of older people were left to die in nursing homes. And I think that would be very, very stark and very, very serious. So a number of people have said, and I think this will happen, that as we emerge out of this crisis, and obviously we're focused on the here and the now, and we still have to protect people, the virus is still here, and the economy is starting to reopen, that there's huge pressures on people who are making decisions. I don't want to second guess at this point those decisions that they made or make that type of judgment. But what we did hear yesterday from Nursing Homes Ireland was a frustration and what seemed to be a cry for help over the course of about 6 weeks, where they were pointing out all of these issues, and they didn't seem to be getting back the response. Now, the issue that you raised when Tig Daly was talking about the National Treatment Purchase Fund falling silent, that was in relation to the financial shortfall.
Yes.
I think the bigger issue is in relation to the shortfall of staff, the fact that there was an aggressive recruitment that they put it for nursing home staff to go into hospitals, and also the shortage of equipment. And these are obviously critical issues. And one of the key lines in his opening statement, and he, when questioned by myself as well, said that he personally felt let down, that he felt the state and the state actors, if you like, let down people in nursing homes, the residents in nursing homes and their families. And the key line in his opening statement was that key state organisations left the nursing home sector and its residents isolated in those early days, and that this dismay will live forever with us. Obviously, that's very, very serious.
Very serious accusation, yeah.
And I think it's traumatic, and because it's traumatic and because there are people who lost loved ones, I think we need to be very careful politically how we deal with this, that we don't rush to judgment, that we have, and that's the purpose of this committee, that we forensically go through all of the different pieces of correspondence, that we understand that when we're looking at this, that we have the benefit of hindsight. But undoubtedly, I think almost everybody accepts that mistakes were made, and that maybe the focus, undoubtedly, there should have been on nursing homes, wasn't on nursing homes. Whether that was deliberate, whether that was accidental, is something maybe that we may in the end get to the bottom of. But I think there's no doubt whatsoever that they were left behind. But just make one quick point on it. We escaped the worst of it, thank God.
We did in Waterford,
in nursing homes in Waterford, and I want to commend all of the staff in those nursing homes and the owners of those nursing homes. It doesn't matter to me whether it's a public or a private nursing home. It has older people in those nursing homes who need to be protected. So some people are, make the arguments around private nursing homes. It doesn't matter to me at this point. It's all of the facilities where people needed to be kept safe should have had the support of the state, should have been protected and should have been supported.
And I know we
did escape the worst of it in Waterford.
We did, and there was very good. You're right. Good. Yeah, sorry, David. You were right. There was very good organisation there, and we covered that from the start. And we went out to Havenwood, and they had made a decision a kind of a month beforehand to start buying their own PPE. So nursing homes are left up effectively to look after themselves. And we went down to St Carthage's down in Lismore and the care home there. And the work that's been done locally and in South Kilkenny, Waterford, has been phenomenal. So that's there. But on a national level, for example, nursing homes were refused. When they asked to be part of that COVID team, that NEFID team, they weren't allowed on that. Why was that? So there's all these questions that have to be asked. Can you just tell me, David, what is the situation regarding the next stage of this? Like, people and within departments, they'll talk about systems and they'll talk about all that. Systems are people. Is anybody going to be held accountable for the decisions that were made during February and March on this?
Well, I don't think we'll get to the bottom of all of that until there's a government formed, until we have all of the sector committees in place. I would imagine that there will be a role for the Public Accounts Committee to look back on this. As I said, there has been a call from a number of politicians and from people outside of the political sphere as well for a full public inquiry. I think that's obviously a matter for the new government. I think there does need to be as much scrutiny on this as possible, because it isn't about a witch hunt and it isn't about second guessing at this point what decisions were made. The fundamental point that you raised around whether this was deliberate, whether this was a strategy, that's a reasonable question to ask. And it's not that we have the answer or that we're being blatant in terms of coming down one way or the other and saying that's what happened. But what we do know for certain is that nursing homes were not given the supports that they need. I don't think it's acceptable that they weren't at that high level working group, because they represent nursing homes. And again, I think what the Minister was saying last night on prime time was that the HICWA is the authority, but we also know the HICWA didn't have the powers that maybe they should have had in some of these areas as well. So it would have made sense to me, and this was part of that 700 pages of correspondence and emails that were going over and back. There was actually Nursing Homes Ireland that were looking for this high-level group to be put in place, and then when it was set up, they weren't at the table. And obviously, they're the people who would have the on-the-ground knowledge of here's what's happening. So it did, to me, seem extraordinary that they weren't there.
I know. I can ask you again, it's not political point scoring and anything, David, but like if people are texting in saying, did Sinn Féin or why didn't Sinn Féin raise this at the time?
Well, we did, and we raised it consistently. Like the other point to make is that the Dáil is not sitting in its full capacity, so it's more difficult now for politicians to be able to communicate messages. But we had a regular briefing with the Department of Health, so our health spokesperson Louise O'Reilly was attending meetings that took place, I think, twice weekly with senior officials in the department. We raised this. Mary Lou MacDonald raised this several times, put it on the record of the Dáil. We raised it directly with the Taoiseach, with the Minister for Health. We were engaging almost on a weekly and sometimes on a daily basis with Nursing Homes Ireland, so they were lobbying us, and we were raising these concerns. But we didn't have all of the information, and we obviously have to be very careful as well that we weren't being sensationalist or alarmist in making claims when you don't have the full information. So I think what you need to do, Damien, is get all the information at any given time. We did put on record our concerns, and even at this point, despite the fact that I'm very clear in my head that mistakes were made, I'm not in a position to point the finger at anybody and say that this was deliberate. But I think we need to have a thorough examination of this, and whatever form that needs to take, that has to happen, because people did die in nursing homes. That was probably inevitable anyway, that some would, but if more people died than should have had died, because we didn't have an overall overarching comprehensive plan that we had for acute hospitals, that to me is a massive failure. And I'm very conscious that there are families who are bereaved, who didn't see their loved ones, and it's a really emotional, emotive issue that I don't want to add to by saying things that I'm not certain of at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Finally, David, and briefly, please, if you don't mind, the current state of play regarding the university status in the South East. We heard yesterday the merger of CIT and IT in Tralee. Are we lagging behind down here?
We are. It's a big frustration of mine, Damien, because I'm a big supporter of the Technological University. I know other people have their views. Some people say the Waterford should go it alone. There are risks in all of this, but I think Waterford and the South East, again, falling behind, potentially could be the last consortia to get a university, I think is problematic. We actually met, the new Oireachtas members met with Willie Donnelly and his team, I think it was about a week after the election, and we made those points very forcibly that we can't be the ones again left behind. So there are issues within the region, undoubtedly, but there are also issues in relation to I think some historic issues in relation to mistakes that were made initially when the criteria were set up that worked against the South East. But whatever about the reasons, again, other consortium are going ahead. Dublin has their technological university. Other regions are pressing ahead. We have Munster with Kerry and Cork pressing ahead, and again, the South East lags behind it. And bear in mind, the whole process of technological universities was based on delivering a university for the South East. So it's actually quite ironic that we end up then being the last region potentially, and still no guarantee. So it is a huge concern, because for me it's part of the future of Waterford, that we're a university city with a university that's fit for purpose, that's fit for the South East, and that focuses on what it needs to focus on to create the jobs that we need. So I am frustrated, and I think people
and a lot of people are. Yeah. Well. David Cullinane, Sinn Féin TD, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Fáilte Road, Slán go Fóill. A lot of texts coming in about this. We shouldn't be suggesting that care homes might have been neglected deliberately. TD shouldn't be suggesting that, says this person. Again, I suppose the language being used in this has been put very, very carefully until the full facts come out. Did Sinn Féin raise this in the past? It's easy to have perfect vision in hindsight, says this person. David Cullinane says that they did. Good morning. Can you please say a big hello to all the residents at the Holy Ghost Residential Care Home who are sitting out now in the enclosed garden listening to the show and loving the weather and the show. Hello to everybody there, folks. I know listening to something like we just talked about now is a difficult thing to do, but you're safe. And the work that's been done in Waterford and the South East, and particularly South Kilkenny and Waterford, has been phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And it really is superb what's been done. And to all the staff and the management and all the people working in the care homes, from Lismore over to all different across the city and county and parts of Wexford and Tipperary that are listening to this as well. Our hearts go out to you folks because you've done amazing work. You really, really have. And well done, well done. Another person, Paul, has texted in, the whole experience was a new one and everybody pointing the finger now, it achieves nothing. We've been exceptional in this county, says Paul. And that's one of the issues that we raised constantly here on this programme. Why have we done so well? What can other people learn about this? For example, a texter says, I have an elderly parent in a nursing home in the west of the country, and to date there have been at least 7 deaths there and possibly maybe more because they didn't lock down initially. Very worrying times. So we did so well here. There was a level of excellence here that could be replicated elsewhere. So it's not a question of pointing fingers. It is a question of finding answers. And if people have made mistakes, they should stand up and be counted. And there should be retribution if people have made mistakes. For example, another texter, why did people were sent out of emergency departments, older people back to nursing homes when they weren't fully tested? These issues have to be asked. The questions have to be asked, and we deserve answers. Everybody deserves answers. Now, some people texted before the programme started. I'll get to those later. 083 333 975. Text or WhatsApp. Or you can call Audrey, the wonderful Audrey, on 051 846 123. Good morning. Can you please remind people to please keep using the sanitisers provided when entering shops, as this practice is really slipping. I've noticed people in the Abbotside Dungarvan area and it's really, really slipping. Please do this. Mary Butler has been raising the issue for a while. I saw her on the telly last night, says this person. The HSE had to step in, says another texter, and give advice to the homes. And a lot of texts coming in. Happy birthday, Georgina Rakoski from St. John's Park, from her husband Raphael and Alex and Emily. Now, our tourism and hospitality sector have been particularly badly hit in the COVID crisis. Two people who know very well the vicissitudes of business are Tina and Mags Darrer. I must have swallowed a dictionary. Who are the third generation of managers and owners at Dooley's on the Quay in Waterford, Dooley's Hotel. Following on from June, who's still involved. Hi, June. But what's going to happen in the month of June? Mags and Tina, how are you? Firstly, we're going to talk about how you managed so far after the tsunami of the COVID crisis when it hit in March.
Well, I suppose it was around St. Patrick's Day when the tsunami hit, and it was devastating. I suppose it was like a big black hole to realise that international tourism wouldn't come back for this year and could be up to 2019. 3 to 4 years before we get back to 2019. But we've been busy inside. We've been cleaning.
Getting ready for reopening. Like, we're closed, but we are getting ready.
Tell me about the staff, and obviously they've had to go along with you on this. They've been very good. I know you want to praise them and thank them.
Yes, certainly. We have the ones that are at home. We do try and keep in contact with it, but it can be very difficult. And the ones that are with us are absolutely fantastic. They've come on board. Nothing is a problem. And they're just getting on with it. They are they're actually doing a role that they weren't
generally don't do. You know, it was devastating for the ones that are at home. You know, we've had many families and maybe 2 people in a family working with us. So that in particular was just devastating. You know, they've kids, mortgages, and sometimes, you know, there's students that are working as well, which is really, really difficult. Some of them are working full-time hours while they're at college just to support themselves. And many of their parents too are unemployed at the moment. So it's just, it's horrendous.
What is the situation now as we look into June coming up? Where are you in terms of plans?
Well, our plan, I suppose at the moment, we are allowed open on the 20th of July. We are still waiting the guidelines to be signed off from the HSE. The Irish Hotels Federation and Fáilte Ireland have been working on those plans. So we're waiting to see what they will bring. But we are definitely working towards July 20th to open up for business. Waterford is just an amazing destination. We have so many beaches, the mountains, we have We've the Greenway, we've land and water-based activities. So we have so much to offer to the domestic market, even though we won't have international tourism. But we have a wealth of areas to explore.
What is planned regarding bookings? Like, is there any bookings coming in at all?
Not at the moment. There's not a huge amount of bookings coming in. I think people are waiting to see. The pubs aren't open until the 10th of August. So I suppose August, I think, will be busier after August 10th, because as much as you'd like to get out of your house and go away, you don't particularly want to come to a hotel and sit in your hotel bedroom with the kids. I think you might prefer to be at home in the sitting room at home having a glass of wine or a beer. But, I think in August it will get busy.
But we have had some inquiries. We got an absolutely fantastic email from one of our customers who was her husband's birthday. She emailed to say, could we send on a little something for him, because he wanted to come down to us. And we got the most amazing email back from her thanking for that. She can't wait to come back. She loves the team. She mentioned one particular member of the team, Leanne, who she just praised high and low. And it actually did give us a pick up, because we sent it out to all the employees who are at home. We sent that out to them just to let them know that, our customers do care, and they do enjoy the service that they get from them. It's that kind of easy, comfortable service, friendly service. So they are looking forward to come, and we're looking forward to welcome them back.
Can ye or should ye look at opening sooner? Can hotels do that? Like, we talk about the 1 metre, 2 metre distance regarding restaurants and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Hotels can open on the 20... Well, not restaurants can open on the 29th of June. So hotel restaurants could open on the 29th of June. I suppose we just want to see what the guidelines are before we decide to open any earlier. And also there are hotels that are open that can take essential workers. So there are hotels around the country that are open.
So what about your own situation? What do you think? Would you like to be opened a little bit sooner?
Yes, definitely would like to be opened sooner if it's safe to do so, and once we adhere to the guidelines for our own team and obviously for the safety of the public. But yes, gosh, we'd love to open tomorrow if we could.
What about this 1-2 metre debate? What do you think, Mags?
I think I think that everybody has to take ownership for their own. Be responsible for themselves and operate in a safe manner, and be cognizant of other people in front of us. Step away if there's no need to be right on top of somebody, and just to step away and be careful when we are around other people. And again, wash your hands. Don't touch your mouth, your nose or your eyes. Good hand hygiene and good respiratory etiquette has to come into play. And we're all responsible for that. There's no one organisation that should be telling us to do this. We have to take responsibility. If we want to get back to the economy, get the economy up and running, we all have a part to play in it.
And I think if people could have patience as well. I think patience are beginning to run out a little bit. I think with the 1 to 2 metre, I think the 1 metre will eventually come in. I think it's going to be another little while. I think they're going to wait to look at the statistics, but from a business perspective, most businesses would require the 1 metre, because for financially to make them viable, they will need that.
It looks like there's not going to be a big bang return, obviously, unless there's a vaccine. So it's going to be taking tentative steps. The foreign tourist market is gone for this season, effectively. That bus, that CIE, that bus air, and that's gone, unfortunately. So you'd be looking at hopefully getting Irish people that are going to be looking to holiday in Ireland, coming from different parts of wherever it is to Waterford. How do you try to get those people to look at Waterford? I know you've mentioned the different attractions, but look at Dooley's Hotel. Is there any marketing can be done at the minute? Again, all the old marketing sort of promotions are gone at the minute.
Yes, well, there is definitely marketing going to happen. I know a lot of the hotels and stuff are going to do their own marketing, but also collectively there's Visit Waterford that have been working in the background. It's chaired by David McCoy in Waterford, the House of Waterford Crystal, and there's different stakeholders, including the council, are all behind the destination, and they very much will want to push the destination, are working hard. So as we're lucky too that We have the expertise of David and Claire, his colleague. They're very good at marketing. So there is work going on behind the scenes, and it is supported by the council. And I know they're also supporting other industries. They want to see people back to work. They want to see the city back up and running. And I suppose we'd also ask that the local economy and your listeners, I know WLR are fantastic at Shop Local, but to please come in and support the local economy, the small businesses inside in the city that really, really need their support. They close their businesses for the safety of the public, but also for their own teams. And now more than ever, once they start to open, they really, really need the support of your listeners.
Mags?
Yes, I concur with Tina that, we have to support people want to get back to work. Holidaying abroad is out for Irish people, because if you go away for 2 weeks, then you've got another 2 weeks holiday when you come back, because you will be isolating when you come back. So we need the local economy to get behind everybody that's in town. Like our industry alone supports other industries. Like last year alone, it was just over 1.5 million that went out to local suppliers and professional people within the economy. So everybody generates additional money for each businesses, and we just have to support local.
And in returns to tourism in Waterford, it's worth about 1.38 million to the local economy, and it supports over 6,400 jobs.
Mags and Tina, thank you so much to you and your families and all your staff. Continued safety first and foremost, and the very best of luck on the road to return.
Thank you, Damien, and thank you for all that you're doing for the public.
Not at all. Thanks very much. Thanks, folks. A couple of texts coming in there. Good morning. I think we need to reopen the city as quickly as possible, says this texter. City and county, Waterford is the least affected. So should we look at opening city by city? That has been raised before. Europe has opened up weeks, pubs, hairdressers, etc., says Paddy, and no news of a second wave coming back. Well, South Korea had a large increase this morning as the potential for a second wave. So we'll see what happens there. People have spoken about that, but I suppose you can't, stop people coming into a city that aren't from there. You have all these issues and all that sort of stuff, and a lot of people from Kilkenny and Wexford and Tipperary work in Waterford as well, so you've all those things coming in. So what are you going to do? Have police on the bridge? I don't think it's going to work. Good morning. There are some cafes that have tables outside at the minute. I'm just wondering, is social distancing being applied? I know one particular cafe, says this person around the city, that's doing this. Mary Butler, TD, has texted in to say she's been working on this issue for months regarding nursing homes in Waterford and the South East. Constant contact with Tyke Daly. I think it's important to remember the 40,000 staff that went beyond the call of duty in all nursing care and residential homes throughout the country in difficult circumstances. We might talk to Mary about this, and people texting in about the university status. We are going to be talking about that later in the programme. Stay with us. Keep your texts and comments coming in. A lot of texts and comments coming in. I also got a letter this morning, a typed letter in the post. The rule is stay at home, but some churches are open and not supervised. I'm wondering, can you ask people down the west, are all the churches closed? For example, Aglis Church in Tramore, is there social distancing taking place and holy hours and things like that? And other churches as well. We'll ask those questions. Hopefully we'll get the answers. Now, the texts and comments are flooding in. I'm going to talk in a minute to Katrina O'Neill about play therapy. As you know, on the programme, we like to vary and mix up what we're talking about. So any mammies out there, any daddies out there, any guardians want to talk about play therapy, listen on, because this is a really interesting chat. Some of the texts and comments first. The fact that Waterford is doing so well, all the more reason not to allow people in health before wealth. And I want to wish very happy non-confirmation day to our granddaughter Laura Carlin in Ballyduff West in Kilmeaden, who should have had her special day today. See you later, Laura, to mark the day, love. Nanny and Grandad Doyle. And regarding nursing homes, should we not be asking why so many of our senior citizens end up in hospital from nursing homes? What about antibiotics and fluids? So that comes into it. And Bernadette phoned in to make a big comment. I'll take that later. I'm going to go to Katrina now. Good morning, Katrina. How are you doing?
Good morning, Damien. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Thank you very much. You work as a play therapist, and there's this innovative multidisciplinary team managed by Anne Goodwin from TUSLA, the Child and Family Agency across Waterford and Wexford. So you're focusing on delivering a needs-led service to help people and children reach their full potential. What is this about? Can you tell us about this therapeutic team, please?
Absolutely, Damien. I suppose this team is actually one of the first models of its kind in Ireland, and it offers guidance and support to parents and foster carers and other professionals working with children in care, and also for children who are on the brink of going into care. The team is made up of a number of different professionals, including myself and 2 other play therapists, and it is hoped that this kind of a team will be rolled out all over Ireland in the near future.
Okay, very good. So just explain to people, what is play therapy?
So I suppose play therapy, it's really a way of helping children between the ages of, I suppose, maybe 3 and 12 who have behavioural and emotional difficulties to help themselves. I suppose that play is the natural medium of communication for children, as we know. And just like the way adults would talk out their painful feelings or experiences, children like to play them out in play therapy.
So how does it actually work?
So I suppose it works by, children would engage in things like art, music, drama, storytelling, and lots of different things within the play therapy toolkit, and puppets. And I suppose my role as a play therapist, I would ensure that I would provide a warm and friendly relationship with the child. I would take their lead, so I would follow where they're at, and I wouldn't be directive. And I would never allow the healing process would never be hurried.
Yeah, like the benefits, they seem apparent, but I suppose there are very specific child development benefits, are there?
There is. I suppose for play therapy, it is for children with behavioural and emotional difficulties, and many of the benefits would include, building their self-esteem, reducing anxiety, helping develop social skills that they might find difficult. And, if there's any issues within the family environment, it can help with that. And also the support that we offer to parents as well. Yeah,
and I suppose at the minute, the phone is not great. There's Katrina, will keep going anyway. I suppose in terms of parents and adults, at this time when it's very, very difficult, are there specific ways of helping regarding children's play in COVID times?
Yeah, well, I suppose during this time, more than ever, it's really important that play, that play is fundamental in a child's life. And I suppose parents are the foremost valuable person to do this. And children have had many sacrifices in this time, and their routine has been disrupted. They cannot play with their friends or play with their grandparents. And I suppose this can lead to a lot of emotions such as anxiety and worry in their life. So what I would do is I would actually invite parents who can be a positive, safe and role model in their child's life. And I would really invite them to spend at least 30 minutes every day just playing with their child and just really being present. That's with no technology or devices, and that would include phones. And I would just invite them to take the lead of their child and play the activity the child is motivated to play. Just enjoying some time, watching them, listening to them, and playing with the child. And this is really nurturing. It's very positive for both the child and the parent's mental health.
Yeah, no, that's very good. How can people learn more about this, Katrina? Find out more and maybe educate themselves on it.
Well, I suppose there's many different play therapy registers in Ireland. So there's the 3 as such. So there's Play Therapy Ireland, and there's the Irish Association for Play Therapy and Psychotherapy, and there's also the Irish Association for Play Therapy. And if they look at those, they will find out more information. And there's also a register there of play therapists that would be willing to take on the children in the area that they come from. Super,
very good. Katrina, thanks very much for talking to us this morning.
You're very welcome. Thanks very much.
Thanks, really appreciate it. Katrina O'Neill there. Katrina O'Neill Hayes, working as a play therapist. And interesting concept. And a lot of people think it's a really, really good idea and it works very well. So let us know what you think, please. Good morning, Damien. There's a lot of people outside of DIY stores this morning and it's very, very busy. Hopefully everybody's maintaining social distancing. Good morning. Regarding the flying of drones, there's a drone constantly flying over and around some houses in Tramore. Makes us feel very exposed in our back garden, trying to enjoy the sun. Is there a law against this? And can reporting to the Gardaí do any good to stop this invasion of privacy for our children and in the gardens? Good question. Good point. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'll find out about that. I know there is obviously rules and regulations regarding flying drones and licences that need to be applied. I know a lot of people don't do that, but there are certain rules there. So, and the penalties are quite stringent. But we'll come back to you on that. Damien, it's very simple. Waterford's doing so well because we obviously adhere to the laws and rules and guidelines of the COVID. Why can't our city that's doing so well be allowed to open up for our own people and get businesses back to normal? It was done in certain parts of Germany where towns and cities with lower COVID cases are allowed to open up a little bit better. So that's that person saying that we should be doing that kind of thing. As I say, Bernadette rang earlier about care homes and says that while there's lots of elderly in care homes, there's also a lot of elderly being cared for at home, either at their home or in children's homes. She says we're a country that tend to ship off our elderly when they get to a certain age because it's an inconvenience. She's been working in care homes in the past and seen the most wonderful elderly people, very healthy in both body and mind, and says the elderly are an asset in the household with their experience and knowledge and patience. In other countries, the elderly are more respected. That's from Bernadette. And Lucy sent a lovely text in to wish her sister, friend and her rock, Kate Lucy Feeney in Deer Park, Lismore from Kuwait, a very special birthday wish today. Keep your texts and comments coming in. We want to know now, would you go to a concert and sit in your car for the entire duration of the concert? If they said to you, you're not allowed to bring drink with you, would you try and sneak it in? Would you spend 2 hours in your car listening to a concert? What would you do? Is it something that's going to take off? We're going to talk about that next. Now, again, the texts and comments are flooding in. Keep them coming in, please. That is what makes the programme exciting, as long as there's lots of nice music in it as well. Nothing to do with me. Pat Morrissey has texted in to say I'm shocked and really annoyed about the proposal from Jim Power to pedestrianise the quay. Madness, absolute madness, says Pat. It's like Trump trying to build a wall to keep the Mexicans out. Well, if this goes ahead, it will be exactly like that. I lived my youth in a house on the quay before that awful situation, awful island was built. I'm fuming, Damien, says Pat. Pat is fuming. He's really, really annoyed. I just got a text in there when I mentioned about churches. We had a rosary in the church in Tallow last Saturday week, and the Gardaí were called. Is that true? Anybody in Tallow want to give us a shout there, please? The Gardaí being called to a rosary. That seems very strange. I wonder. Let us know, please. Now I'm going to go straight to Mark. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Damien. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. What about the rosary, Mark? Do you say your rosary? You do? I'd say you're a man for the rosary.
Oh, wicked man for the prayers.
Mark Doan, owner of 360 Event Management. Thank you very much. You're involved, a lot of people would know, in different events and WIT and Waterford FC and all sorts of different things. You're event controller or coordinator of the proposed Gavin James gig. Waterford's one of the 4 locations for what are called drive-in gigs. And this is talking about the promenade in Tramore on August the 7th. Is that it?
Yeah, so what it is the same as every industry, really, Damien, that our business stopped overnight, and there's a lot of different people unemployed through it, and that's from everything from the lampies, the roadies, the stage providers, musicians, event controllers, security, so we sat down with MPI artists several weeks ago now. We've had this in planning, and we looked at a way to try, I suppose, get a bit of movement and take a step towards getting the entertainment industry open again. And Live the Drive-In was born, and here we are. So big announcement yesterday with Gavin James, very well received around the country. So it gives us something to do again and gets employment going.
Yeah, now there's a lot of questions about this, like how it would work, and I heard that would be certain speakers, and then it'd be connected with a frequency on your car. Now, the image of this, Mark, is like somebody, the drive-in movies in America in the 50s and 60s. Is effectively that's what you're trying to replicate?
Yeah, exactly. What we're telling people is arrive in your car, drive in your car, and leave in your car. So you come in on site. There'll be a full stage set up like a normal concert. The bands will perform as normal. We'll also have giant screens in on the site as well, where we'll have the bands being streamed live off stage as well, so it makes sure everyone has a good view as well of the gig.
And how are you going to stop people that are not? If people are not in that vicinity, are they going to be able to see it or hear it? In other words, people are going to obviously have to pay. Have you any idea how much it's going to cost?
So again, it's about getting the stimulus going and getting people back out there and getting families. So the cost model is very, very good on it. So it'll be priced at €60 per car. On our terms and conditions, it'll be 4 adults allowed per car. But I'll just also note as well, we've had a lot of questions from families who have said they have 3 kids. Can the 5 of them arrive? And the answer to that is absolutely. If you have 3 kids with you and mum and dad are in the front of the car, that's perfect. The guidelines of 4 per car is set for adults.
Okay. And how is it going to work in terms of people getting out of their cars?
It comes down to people cooperating, and I think through the whole pandemic, Waterford especially, I'm very proud of all our citizens of Waterford for, I suppose, how we performed and how we followed guidelines and followed instructions that were given to us by the Department of Health. These events, the success of them will be down to people's cooperation. They're alcohol-free events. There's no alcohol being sold on site. There's no alcohol being consumed on site. So everyone, is going to be...
Mark, come on.
It has to be done.
I know, but answer. Okay,
these are family events.
I know they are. Yeah. Okay.
When alcohol is involved, it lowers people's inhibitions.
Okay, but
we're trying to bridge the gap between the loss of the entertainment business and getting back there again.
I know, I understand that, and I agree with you, and the idea of getting an event is right. But obviously, it's the fine details which will make something like this to make it a happy, clappy event. So, for example, the question I asked you. The family wants to get out of the car. They want to sit on the bonnet of the car. They want to listen to the music in a different way. They want to literally get out of the car. They're not going to spend 2 hours in the car. What do you say to them? Are you going to have security guards going around saying, get back into your car?
Yeah, well, there's going to be safety messages broadcast before the event and also during the event, and the terms and conditions and everything is that. You're expecting public cooperation, We have to get society moving, and we've all been following the rules to, I suppose, stem the flow of COVID-19.
Yeah, no, I know that. Yeah,
and it's down to people to behave responsibly.
Yeah,
but there is security, there is stewards. There will be. It'll be the same as any normal gig. If you're stepping out of line at a normal gig, well, of course you're going to be approached by security or whatever,
Yeah, but it's not. And I'm not being a killjoy here, Mark. You know me now. I'm fully in favour, and I'm trying to promote. But very simply, you've got 2 adults in the front of the car. You've got 3 children in the back of the car. They want to get out of the car and get a bit of fresh air and listen to the music. Will that be allowed? What about the 4 teenagers or young people in their 20s or older people that sneak in the cider and the stuff? You're not going to be allowed to search the cars. There will be drinking going on.
Oh, well, we won't be searching the cars. Of course we won't. It's outside of our roles of event organisers to do anything like that, But the sense of cooperation, the feedback across the country has been very, very positive for us. I can't envisage there being any major problems with the event. Again, it's family orientated. It's not going to be your normal, I suppose, big crowd at a concert. There'll be small numbers on it. The venues across the country will vary between 200 cars and 300 cars for some of the bigger ones with 2 shows a day.
Okay, and how many would you expect in the Tramore gig? Many cars?
We're just a little over the 200. We're actually looking at a second venue today that's slightly bigger to bring it in line with the rest of them. So we have a choice of 2 venues at the moment. So, so the management team, we will...
Come on, reveal that. Give us an exclusive. Where are you looking at?
Tramore Racecourse is our second venue. So it's a lot of big parking areas up there. We've agreed on that. We're just going to talk about the figures and look at it. So it's surprisingly we've had a very big demand for inquiries and tickets for Waterford, which kind of led us on to
second gig,
maybe something a little bit bigger, that kind of way. So
I know it's a great idea.
It's all been positive,
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's why I asked those questions, just to make sure that all those boxes are ticked. And where, just finally, briefly, when are tickets going to go on sale, Mark?
Tickets go on sale this Friday, and they'll be available from www.liveatthedrivein.ie. So they will be launched, I think it's 9 a.m. Monday morning. So a lot of people asking questions, when can we get the tickets, So it's all positive, David. And, it gives, I suppose, the event industry, it helps us take that little step forwards to get back to get our own crews. And as I said, any event, you know, if someone arrives along to see Gavin James, well, there's a lot of other people working behind the scenes that
Yes.
make that gig happen. And it's important for us to get that bit of employment back in there as well, you know.
It is very important. Mark Dunn, it's a pleasure talking to you again. Take care. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Eamon.
Thanks, appreciate it. Thank you. Mark Dunn there, owner of 360 Event Management. It is a really exciting initiative. I think it's brilliant. Those teething problems, if they're sorted, I think it'll be a great, great event.